The stars held secrets, but none quite like the Zephyrians. When humanity first detected their signals emanating from the Carina constellation, the world held its breath. The messages were unlike anything encountered before, patterns of light and electromagnetic waves that spoke of advanced civilization, yet carried an unmistakable warmth that transcended species barriers. Dr. Sarah Chen stood at her observatory console, her dark eyes reflecting the holographic display of the first Zephyrian ship to enter Earth's solar system. The vessel defied conventional design, a gossamer construct of crystalline lattices and flowing energy fields that seemed to dance with the solar winds. As Earth's first contact team approached in their comparatively bulky shuttle, Sarah couldn't help but marvel at the contrast between human pragmatism and Zephyrian artistry. The Zephyrians themselves proved just as remarkable as their technology. Beings of semi-transparent crystalline structures housed consciousness in ways Earth's scientists were still struggling to comprehend. They communicated through pulses of light and electromagnetic frequencies, their very bodies serving as conduits for their thoughts and emotions. Within months of first contact, they had helped humanity develop translation matrices that bridged the gap between their radiant language and human speech. But it wasn't just their communication that transformed human society. The Zephyrians freely shared their technology, asking only for cultural exchange in return. They were fascinated by human art, music, and literature, finding in humanity's creative expression echoes of their own luminous way of being. Earth experienced a renaissance of innovation and cultural growth as human ingenuity merged with Zephyrian insights. The galactic hegemony watched these developments with growing unease. For millennia, they had maintained order through careful control of technological proliferation and cultural exchange. Species were meant to be guided slowly into the galactic community, their development carefully monitored and regulated. The Zephyrians' open sharing with humanity represented a dangerous deviation from established protocols. Warning signs appeared gradually at first. Trade restrictions tightened. Diplomatic missions faced increasing delays. The hegemony's massive ships began appearing with greater frequency in Earth's sector, their presence a silent reminder of established power structures. But neither humanity nor the Zephyrians fully grasped the danger until it was too late. The attack came during Earth's night cycle. Hegemony warships appeared in massive numbers above Zephyr, their weapon systems already charged. The official declaration arrived moments before the first strikes. The Zephyrians stood accused of dangerous technological proliferation and disruption of galactic order. Their punishment would be swift and absolute. Earth's response was immediate but futile. The handful of human ships stationed near Zephyr were hopelessly outgunned. They fought anyway, buying time for civilian evacuations with their lives. The Zephyrian capital city of Luminara, with its soaring crystal spires and gardens of light, was reduced to shards in minutes. Billions of Zephyrian consciousness patterns were snuffed out before they could even reach shelter. Sarah Chen, now Earth's ambassador to the Zephyrian people, watched in horror as the casualty reports flooded in. The translation matrices they had developed together now carried screams and desperate pleas for help. In the midst of the chaos, she received a final transmission from Kalar, her Zephyrian counterpart and friend. The hegemony fears what it cannot control. Kalar's light patterns flickered weakly. They fear humanity's adaptability, our willingness to share knowledge freely. But they have made a grave miscalculation. They know nothing of human determination, of your capacity to face impossible odds. Remember us, Sarah. Remember and show them their mistake. The transmission ended as Kalar's facility took a direct hit. Sarah's hands clenched into fists as she forwarded everything to Earth's Defense Command. Humanity had spent centuries fighting itself, perfecting the art of warfare before finally achieving unity. Now those hard-learned lessons would serve a greater purpose. Within hours, emergency sessions of Earth's government convened. The decision was unanimous. Humanity would not stand idle while its allies were slaughtered. But they would need to be smart about their response. The hegemony's military might was overwhelming in conventional terms. their ships more numerous, and their technology more advanced. Yet they had never faced an enemy quite like humanity. As the first wave of refugee ships arrived from Zephyr, carrying the scattered remnants of a dying civilization, Earth's military strategists were already formulating plans. The hegemony expected compliance with their established order. They expected fear in the face of their overwhelming power. They would soon learn that humanity's greatest strength lay in defying expectations. In orbital shipyards and underground facilities across the solar system, engineers began adapting Zephyrian technology to human warfare doctrine. The hegemony's energy weapons were elegant and precise, and they had never faced ships armored with hybrid crystal matrices capable of absorbing and redirecting their power. Their targeting systems were sophisticated and utterly unprepared for the chaos of human electronic warfare. As Sarah coordinated with the surviving Zephyrian leadership, helping them establish sanctuary communities on Earth, she remembered Kaler's final words. The hegemony had indeed made a grave miscalculation. They had assumed that destroying the Zephyrians would isolate humanity, forcing them back into line with established galactic order. Instead, they had given humanity something far more dangerous than any technology. They had given them a reason to fight. The price of peace was measured in shattered crystals and broken dreams. 3 months after the hegemony's initial assault, the surviving Zephyrian enclaves on Earth watched in silent horror as surveillance feeds showed their homeworld's transformation. Where cities of light once stood, now only fields of pulverized crystal remained. The hegemony's occupation forces moved with mechanical efficiency, systematically destroying any trace of the civilization they had deemed too dangerous to exist. Admiral Helena Torres stood at the command center of Earth's primary military installation beneath the Pacific Ocean, her weathered face illuminated by dozens of holographic displays. Each screen told a different part of the same story. Humanity was outgunned, outmanned, and facing an enemy with millennia of technological advancement on their side. By any conventional military analysis, resistance was futile. But Helena Torres hadn't spent 40 years in Earth's combined defense forces by accepting conventional wisdom. "Show me the hegemony patrol patterns again," she ordered, and the central display shifted to show the movement of enemy ships across multiple star systems. The hegemony's military doctrine was as elegant as their technology, and just as rigid. Their ships moved in precise formations, following established protocols that had served them well for thousands of years of unopposed rule. "They're still treating this like a police action," Helena mused, her dark eyes narrowing. "They expect us to break under their show of force, just like every other species they've subjugated. That's their first mistake." In labs and workshops across Earth, human scientists worked alongside Zephyrian refugees, combining their knowledge in ways neither species had imagined before. The Zephyrians' mastery of crystalline technology and energy manipulation merged with humanity's expertise in electronic warfare and unconventional tactics. The results were beginning to look promising. Dr. Marcus Wong, lead engineer of the Hybrid Weapons Development Program, demonstrated their latest breakthrough to a select committee. The hegemony shields are calibrated to defend against energy weapons similar to their own, he explained, standing before a testing chamber. They'd never encountered anything like this. The test projectile looked deceptively simple, a crystalline spike housing complex circuitry. When activated, it pulsed with a combination of Zephyrian energy patterns and human-designed electronic warfare signals. The target, a salvaged piece of hegemony shield technology, didn't even register the projectile as a threat until it was too late. The crystal spike passed through the shield as if it wasn't there, its hybrid nature confusing the hegemony's defensive systems. But weapons were only part of the equation. Humanity's greatest advantage lay in its diversity of thought, its ability to approach problems from angles the hegemony's rigid military doctrine never considered. While the enemy expected a conventional military response, Earth's strategists prepared something entirely different. Sarah Chen, working closely with both military command and the Zephyrian Refugee Council, helped coordinate a campaign that would target not just the hegemony's military assets, but the very foundations of their control. They maintain power through fear and rigid order, she explained during a strategic briefing. So we'll give them chaos. The first phase of Earth's response took shape in secret. Small ships, their hulls incorporating Zephyrian crystalline technology, were constructed in hidden facilities throughout the solar system. They were unlike anything seen before, hybrid vessels that could adapt their energy signatures to mimic different species ships, armed with weapons that defied conventional defense systems. Training crews for these new ships presented its own challenges. The hybrid technology required a level of synchronization between human and Zephyrian operators that had never been attempted before. But necessity proved a powerful motivator, and within weeks, joint crews were showing remarkable results. They understand us now. A Zephyrian engineer named Lyra communicated through the translation matrix, her crystal form pulsing with determination as she worked alongside human technicians. In their arrogance, they believed they understood humanity's potential for violence, but they failed to grasp your capacity for innovation, for adaptation. We will show them that knowledge shared freely is stronger than knowledge hoarded and controlled. The hegemony's confidence in their superior numbers and technology made them predictable. Their patrols followed established routes, their response protocols were standardized across their fleet, and their command structure was hierarchical and inflexible. These patterns, maintained over millennia of unchallenged dominance, were about to become their greatest vulnerability. Admiral Torres finalized the first strike plans with a grim satisfaction. "We're not going to fight them on their terms," she told her command staff. "They expect us to either submit or launch a desperate, conventional assault. Instead, we're going to introduce them to something they've never experienced in their thousands of years of enforcing order, asymmetric warfare on a galactic scale." As the final preparations were made, Sarah received an unexpected transmission from one of the few surviving Zephyrian deep space outposts. The message contained detailed scans of hegemony ship movements, but more importantly, it revealed something crucial. Other species were watching Earth's resistance with growing interest. The hegemony's iron grip on the galaxy had created countless potential allies, species who had suffered under their rigid control, waiting for someone to prove they weren't invincible. "We're not just fighting for ourselves, or the Zephyrians anymore," Sarah realized as she shared the intelligence with military command. "We're fighting to show the galaxy that the hegemony's order isn't the only way. That cooperation and free exchange of knowledge can create something stronger than fear and control." The first strike was scheduled for what the hegemony would consider an insignificant date, the 3-month anniversary of their attack on Zephyr. They wouldn't expect sentiment to drive military timing. They didn't understand that humans fought hardest when fighting for something beyond themselves. As Earth's hybrid fleet prepared to launch, Admiral Torres sent a final message to all crews: "Remember what we're fighting for. Not just revenge, but the right of all species to share knowledge freely, to develop without constraint. The hegemony believes their power lies in their advanced technology. We're about to show them that true strength lies in what you're willing to fight for, and how you adapt when everything is at stake." The hegemony's first indication that this wouldn't be a conventional war came in the Proxima Centauri system. A routine patrol of 3 heavy cruisers disappeared without a trace. When the investigation fleet arrived, they found only debris fields that defied analysis, crystalline fragments that seemed to shift and change when scanned, playing havoc with their sensors. They never saw the human Zephyrian hybrid ships hiding in plain sight, their crystalline hulls bending light and energy around them in ways the hegemony's rigid technological framework couldn't process. By the time the second patrol fleet realized they were under attack, it was too late. Commander Jack Martinez watched from the bridge of the HSS Shadow Dancer as his squadron's unconventional tactics proved devastatingly effective. The hybrid ships moved like ghost dancers through space, their crystalline technology allowing them to appear as nothing more than sensor ghosts or space debris until the moment they struck. Multiple targets locked. His Zephyrian tactical officer, Sarah, communicated through their neural interface. Her crystalline form pulsed with contained energy as she coordinated their weapon systems. The enemy's shields are calibrated exactly as predicted. The hybrid weapons they developed told the story of two civilizations working in perfect harmony. Crystalline projectiles infused with Zephyrian energy patterns passed straight through hegemony shields, their quantum states so bizarre that enemy defense systems couldn't even register them as threats. Once inside, the human-designed payload did what humanity had spent centuries perfecting, causing maximum chaos with minimum resources. Coordinate with Shadow Wings 2 through 5, Jack ordered. Execute attack pattern Epsilon. The squadron moved with practiced precision, their ships flowing through space like liquid mercury. The hegemony vessels, for all their technological superiority, might as well have been standing still. In the weeks that followed, similar scenes played out across dozens of star systems. The hegemony's mighty fleets found themselves facing an enemy they couldn't predict or counter. Human ingenuity combined with Zephyrian technology created warfare tactics that simply hadn't existed before. But the true masterstroke came from Dr. Sarah Chen and her team of human Zephyrian researchers. They had discovered something the hegemony had kept secret for millennia: the quantum communication network that formed the backbone of their control over the galaxy. Their entire command structure relies on instantaneous communication, Sarah explained to Admiral Torres during an emergency briefing. But the network has a fundamental weakness. It was designed with only hegemony protocols in mind, never anticipating a hybrid technology that could speak both Zephyrian and human. The plan they developed was audacious. While the ghost fleets kept the hegemony distracted with hit-and-run attacks, specialized infiltration teams would insert themselves into the quantum network. The Zephyrian components of their hybrid technology would allow them to access the network, while human coding expertise would turn it against its masters. The operation was centered on Proxima Station, a major hegemony communications hub. Commander Martinez's squadron was tasked with creating a diversion, while a joint human Zephyrian infiltration team, led by Dr. Chen herself, penetrated the station's defenses. Remember, Sarah briefed her team, a mix of human tech specialists and Zephyrian energy manipulators. We're not just trying to disable their communications. We're going to show every species in the galaxy the truth about the hegemony's rule. The attack began with a seemingly straightforward raid by the Ghost Fleet. As hegemony forces rushed to defend against the visible threat, Sarah's team approached the station in a ship that, to all scans, appeared to be nothing more than a piece of debris from the ongoing battle. Inside the station, the team moved like shadows. Their hybrid tech allowed them to interface with station systems in ways the hegemony had never defended against. While Zephyrian team members manipulated energy fields to mask their presence, human hackers worked to penetrate the quantum network's security. What they found confirmed their worst suspicions and presented their greatest opportunity. The hegemony's control wasn't just about military might. Their quantum network contained evidence of millennia of manipulation, suppression, and calculated atrocities, all in the name of maintaining their version of order. They've been deliberately stunting the development of every species they encounter, Sarah reported, her voice tight with controlled anger. The Zephyrians were targeted because they were the first to break free from the pattern and share technology freely. But the hegemony had made a critical mistake. In their arrogance, they had never considered that their secure quantum network could be compromised. They had never deleted any of their secret communications or hidden directives. Everything was there, waiting to be exposed. The next phase of the operation went beyond military tactics. As battles raged across space, Sarah's team initiated what they called Operation Truth Cascade. Through the compromised quantum network, they began broadcasting evidence of the hegemony's crimes to every connected system in the galaxy. The effect was electric. Species that had lived under hegemony control for generations suddenly saw proof of how their development had been artificially limited. Diplomatic channels that had been silent for centuries erupted with activity. The hegemony's carefully maintained image of benevolent guidance crumbled in the face of undeniable evidence. But the most damaging revelation was yet to come. Deep in the quantum network's archives, they discovered the hegemony's true motivation for attacking the Zephyrians. It wasn't just about controlling technological proliferation. It was about preventing a fundamental shift in galactic civilization. They knew, Sarah realized as she decoded the final files. They knew that if humanity and the Zephyrians succeeded in their cooperative development, it would prove that their entire system of controlled evolution was unnecessary. They weren't protecting order, they were protecting their power. As this truth spread across the galaxy, the hegemony faced something their massive fleets and advanced technology couldn't fight: the collapse of their legitimacy. Species that had been loyal out of fear or ignorance began to question. Those that had been silenced began to speak out. Commander Martinez, watching the growing chaos from his bridge, smiled grimly. "You know what the best part is," he said to Syra. "We didn't have to destroy their communication network to beat them. We just had to use it to tell the truth." The battle for Proxima Station marked a turning point in the war. Not because of ships destroyed or territory gained, but because it shattered something far more important: the illusion of the hegemony's infallibility. The galaxy was awakening, and the age of controlled evolution was coming to an end. The revelation of the hegemony's true nature sparked a fire that spread faster than any military campaign could have achieved. Within weeks of Operation Truth Cascade, dozens of species began reaching out to Earth through hidden channels. Centuries of resentment and suppressed development had created a powder keg. Humanity had simply provided the spark. Admiral Torres found herself hosting an unprecedented gathering aboard Earth's newly constructed space station, Unity. Representatives from 30 different species, many meeting openly for the first time, gathered to form what would become known as the Free Species Coalition. Each brought their own stories of hegemony suppression, and more importantly, their own unique technologies and techniques that had been developed in secret. "We've all been fighting alone, in the shadows," declared Angsthar, a representative of the silicon-based Volteri, their crystalline form resembling a more angular version of the Zephyrians. "But humanity has shown us there's another way. Together, we can be more than the sum of our parts." Sarah Chen, now serving as Earth's diplomatic coordinator for the coalition, worked tirelessly to merge these diverse technologies and strategies. The Volteri contributed their expertise in quantum computing, developed in secret beneath their planet's crystal mountains. The atmospheric Arethi brought designs for gravity manipulation systems they'd hidden in their gas giant homes. Each species added another piece to a puzzle the hegemony had spent millennia trying to keep scattered. But it was humanity's industrial capacity that truly transformed the rebellion into a revolution. While other species had been forced to develop in secret, keeping their advances hidden, Earth's factories and shipyards had been built openly, designed for mass production from the start. Within months, these facilities were adapted to produce hybrid ships incorporating technology from a dozen different species. Commander Martinez found himself training crews that included members from 8 different species aboard the new Harmony-class battleships. These vessels represented everything the hegemony had feared: freely shared knowledge creating something far more advanced than their controlled evolution could achieve. Each species sees space differently, he explained to a reporter documenting the coalition's formation. "The Arethi naturally understand gravity waves in ways we never could. The Volteri process quantum information as easily as we breathe. When we combine these perspectives with human adaptability and Zephyrian energy manipulation, we create something entirely new." The hegemony's response to the growing coalition was predictable. They launched a massive military offensive aimed at crushing the rebellion before it could spread further. Their fleets, now concentrated into massive battle groups, began systematic attacks on any world suspected of harboring coalition sympathies. But this time, they faced an enemy that could match their numbers and exceed their technological sophistication. Coalition ships, incorporating the best aspects of a dozen different species' technology, proved more than a match for the hegemony's standardized designs. What's more, the coalition's diverse crews could innovate and adapt in ways the hegemony's rigid command structure couldn't comprehend. The Battle of the Seventh Spiral became the first major test of the coalition's combined strength. A hegemony battle fleet, comprising over 1,000 ships, attempted to strike at one of the coalition's main production facilities. They found themselves facing not just human Zephyrian hybrid ships, but vessels that seemed to defy the laws of physics as they understood them. Gravity controllers created corridors of warped space that turned hegemony weapons against their own ships. Voltairy quantum systems predicted and countered enemy maneuvers before they began. And through it all, human tactical innovations kept the hegemony's commanders off balance, unable to establish the ordered battle lines their doctrine demanded. They still don't understand, Sarah observed as reports of coalition victories began flowing in. They see all this advanced technology and think that's what makes us strong. They can't grasp that our real strength comes from working together, from combining our different ways of thinking. The coalition's advance across the galaxy achieved more than military victories. Each liberated system brought new allies, new technologies, and new ways of thinking. Species that had been isolated from each other for millennia found common ground in their shared desire for freedom and open exchange of knowledge. But perhaps the most significant development came from an unexpected source. During the liberation of a hegemony research facility, coalition forces discovered evidence of even older civilizations, species that had been completely erased from galactic history when they refused to submit to hegemony control. This was never about maintaining order or protecting less developed species, Sarah reported during an emergency coalition council meeting. The hegemony arose from one of the galaxy's first technological civilizations, and they've spent their entire existence ensuring no one else could reach their level. Until now, they've succeeded by keeping us divided and controlled, but they never counted on us all working together. The discovery galvanized the coalition. Mathematical proofs from the Voltairy confirmed that many of the hegemony's fundamental laws of physics were actually artificial limitations, enforced through controlled technology distribution. The combined scientific knowledge of 30 species began pushing beyond these artificial boundaries, achieving breakthroughs that the hegemony had deemed impossible. Admiral Torres watched as the coalition fleet grew not just in size, but in capability. Ships now incorporated technology that would have seemed like magic just months before. But more importantly, the crews working those ships had developed a synergy that transcended species boundaries. "We're not just fighting to defeat the hegemony anymore," she told her staff during mission planning. "We're fighting to build something better." Every victory shows the galaxy that cooperation breeds innovation faster than control and fear ever could. As the coalition's forces pushed toward the hegemony's core systems, even their enemies' most loyal subjects began to waver. The truth about their masters' millennia of suppression, combined with obvious evidence of the coalition's technological superiority, sparked rebellions on hundreds of worlds. The age of the hegemony was ending, but in their desperation, they would prove most dangerous. Intelligence reports suggested they were preparing something unprecedented, a last-ditch weapon that threatened not just the coalition, but the fabric of space-time itself. The final battle for the galaxy's future was approaching, and it would test the coalition's unity like nothing before. The hegemony's capital system, Primaxis, had remained unconquered for over 10,000 years. Its defenses were considered impenetrable. Multiple layers of artificially sustained quantum fields surrounding a massive Dyson swarm that powered their civilization. But as the coalition fleet emerged from quantum space at its borders, those defenses faced something they'd never been designed to resist: unity. Admiral Torres stood on the bridge of the HSS Unity, now the flagship of the largest combined fleet in galactic history. Ships of every size and design filled the viewscreens, each representing a different species' contribution to their cause. But it was what their sensors had detected at the heart of the Primaxis system that commanded everyone's attention. "They've built a quantum separator," Dr. Chen reported, her voice tight with concern as she interpreted the combined sensor data from a dozen different species detection systems. If activated, it could unravel the quantum fields holding normal space together. They're threatening to destroy everything rather than lose control. The hegemony's final message was brief: surrender and return to controlled development, or face the end of organized space-time itself. They had spent millennia convincing themselves they were the galaxy's only hope for order. Now, faced with proof that cooperation could achieve more than control, they were ready to destroy everything they claimed to protect. But they had underestimated the power of multiple species working together. While the hegemony had focused on building their superweapon, coalition scientists had been studying the very fabric of space-time itself, unrestricted by artificial limitations. The separator isn't just a weapon, Syra communicated, her crystalline form resonating with sudden understanding as she processed quantum data through the Zephyrian perspective. It's the source of their control, the reason they've been able to enforce their laws of physics across the galaxy. They've been using a controlled quantum field to limit what's possible. The revelation sparked a flurry of activity across the Coalition fleet. Voltairy quantum computers began reprocessing centuries of data. Arathi gravity specialists detected patterns in space-time they'd never been able to see before, and human tactical analysts started seeing possibilities that had literally been unthinkable until now. Commander Martinez, leading the hybrid strike force that would spearhead the attack, felt a smile spread across his face as the plan came together. They thought limiting our understanding of physics would keep us under control. Instead, they forced us to become experts at working around limitations. Now that we can see the cage, we know exactly where to strike. The battle began conventionally enough, the Coalition fleet engaging the hegemony's defensive lines, while specialized strike teams moved into position. But as the fighting intensified, the true nature of their strategy became apparent. Instead of trying to destroy the quantum separator, they were going to use it. Sarah Chen, coordinating from Unity's command center, watched as pieces fell into place. Arathi gravity manipulators created corridors through the quantum fields. Voltairy systems calculated precise points of intervention. Zephyrian energy matrices prepared to channel unprecedented amounts of power. And human crews stood ready to do what they did best: the impossible. The hegemony, realizing too late what was happening, attempted to activate their weapon. But the Coalition was ready. As the quantum separator powered up, its energy was met and matched by the combined technologies of 30 species working in harmony. Now, Admiral Torres ordered, and across the fleet, crews of different species moved as one. The quantum separator's beam lanced out and met a Coalition counterwave that had never existed before in this universe. The collision of energies created a cascade effect, but not the one the hegemony had intended. Instead of unraveling space-time, it unraveled their control over it. Across the galaxy, artificial limitations on physics began to fail. Technologies that had been suppressed by the hegemony's quantum field suddenly became possible. Ships that had been designed to work around limitations found themselves capable of so much more. The hegemony's finest ships, built to enforce universal constants that no longer applied, began to fail. Their weapons, designed for a constrained version of reality, proved useless against ships now operating under true universal laws. The battle for Prime Axis lasted less than a day. When it was over, the heart of the hegemony's power lay exposed, not a grand palace or military command center, but a quantum computer complex that had been running the same programs for millennia, enforcing their version of order on the galaxy. Sarah Chen stood with representatives from every Coalition species as they entered the complex. The hegemony's leadership, faced with the collapse of everything they had built, finally surrendered. Their last transmission revealed the fear that had driven them for so long, the fear that without their control, the galaxy would descend into chaos. Instead, they witnessed something unprecedented. Species that they had kept separate for millennia worked together to stabilize the quantum fields, preventing the chaos they had feared. The Coalition, built on cooperation rather than control, proved more capable of maintaining order than the hegemony had ever been. In the months that followed, the galaxy experienced a renaissance. With artificial limitations removed, scientific advancement accelerated at an unprecedented rate. But more importantly, the principles that had united the coalition, cooperation, free exchange of knowledge, and respect for diversity, became the foundation for a new galactic society. The Zephyrians, their homeworld still scared but their people resilient, began the work of rebuilding. Their cities of light would rise again, but now they would incorporate elements from dozens of different species, creating something even more beautiful than before. Admiral Torres, speaking at the formal establishment of the Galactic Cooperative, summed up the lesson they had all learned. The hegemony believed that order could only come through control, that progress had to be limited to be safe. We proved that the true path to advancement lies in working together, in combining our different perspectives and abilities. They feared chaos, but we showed them that unity creates its own kind of order. Sarah Chen, watching the celebration from Unity's observation deck, felt a deep sense of satisfaction. The stars seemed brighter somehow, as if reflecting the new possibilities that had been unleashed. Beside her, representatives of dozens of species, former enemies, now allies and friends, gathered to watch the dawn of a new era. Humanity had given the galaxy something it had lacked for millennia: the courage to embrace change, to work together despite differences, to reach for the stars not in fear of what might be found, but in hope of what could be created together. The age of control was over. The age of cooperation had begun.